Hello, everybody. Again, this is Mr. Griffin. Today is Wednesday, August the 26th, and today I will be discussing lesson number 3. And the title of that one is going to be Favorite Books. Our I can statement for the day. The first one, I can represent and interpret data using whole numbers. And the next one, I can determine whether a survey question would yield categorical or numerical data. Our essential question, how is data useful in a real-world situation? It has not changed, and it will be the same essential question for the entire unit, but after today, you'll be able to add upon your answer to that question. Our learning targets, the first one, today I will be able to organize data using a frequency table and create a scale bar graph from data that is collected. I will also be able to solve word problems using about that data. What are some different ways data can be collected? We're going to pause for a second, and if you're in the live lesson, we're going to be typing some of your ideas into the chat box. And if you are watching a recorded version at home, I want you to take a few minutes just to think about all those different ways that data can be collected. Well, if you're like me and you like sports, you keep up with, for instance, in basketball, how many points per game a player may have, or in football, how many passing yards a quarterback may have, soccer, goals. So they keep up with that data. And it can be collected, for instance, in a basketball game. It's just a matter of each time a player scores, they'll tally it up. They'll tally it up in some type of chart or graph to keep up with it. And with this being a big election year, your parents may be getting calls from telecommunicators who are maybe asking about, who are they planning to vote for, and they're just they're keeping count, trying to get a tally of, well, how many people are saying that they're going to vote for this person versus that person. And that's just another idea about ways that data can be collected over the phone. For this next slide, for our live lesson, we're actually going to take account of how many students prefer historical fiction. We'll tally up the numbers right here for how many students prefer historical fiction. They'll type it into the chat bar if they like historical, and then we'll ask about science fiction. We'll tally up how many people prefer science fiction, and we'll go on down the line with graphic, realistic, picture books, and nonfiction. So we'll tally all that up, and how many ever numbers we have right here for historical fiction, we're going to total that number up and put the total number right here. And we'll do the same thing for each one. Okay. Now, if you're watching this recorded video at home, you can do your own survey in your household. You can do a survey in your household with your family, and just ask each person which type do they like. Do they like historical fiction, science, graphic, realistic, picture books, or nonfiction? You take that tally up in your own household. So for this next slide, we're actually going to be working with a Google Jamboard. And with this, we're going to take the data from our previous slide, the data that we collected right here. And again, if you're watching the recorded version, you're going to tally up with your family members, and you're going to take those numbers and you're going to actually go into Google Jamboard. Now, this is going to be posted for my homeroom class and for the other teachers. This will be posted on your Google Classroom as an assignment. So you'll be able to go directly to it and pull it up and take the numbers and complete a bar graph. So we're asking you to complete a bar graph using the data from the previous slide. For our live in-class session, students are going to have an opportunity to share out some of their completed graphs that they completed over on the Jamboard. And once they submit it, you'll be able to share your screen and show your completed graphs. And we'll talk about it. Additional independent work, and if you don't finish that, will be homework. It's going to be page 11 in your binder. So go ahead on and turn to page number 11 in your math binder. And the binder, of course, was in the material that you all picked up last week. And the title of it is going to be Reflection Questions. And use the scale bar graph below to answer the questions below. Use the scale bar graph below to answer the questions below. It's going to be the question. And like I've said before, when you first get a graph like this, I want you to take a few minutes, look at the graph, study it, try to figure out what is it actually telling you to do. What is it actually telling you to do? Okay, so I've actually gone ahead and put this independent homework on a different screen to show you better. So the first question is, how many more students like graphic novels than science fiction? Number one, how many more students like graphic novels than science fiction? And first you have to identify graphic novels, science fiction. You have to locate those. And if you look over here, I've already got graphic novels circled, and down here I've got science fiction also circled. So you have to then look at each one. So we'll first look at graphic novels, and when you go all the way up, you see how wherever the bar stops, then you take it and you go down to where the numbers are on the scale, and that's right below 25. So I'm going to make it as 24 for that one. Okay, so now let's go down to science fiction. So science fiction, we're going to do the same thing, and we're looking at the bar for science fiction. So we're starting at the bottom, we're going all the way up, and it stops right here. So we go down this line, and we see where it actually ends, and it is just above 10. Just above 10, but it's in between 10 and 15. It's not directly in the middle, but it's closer to the 10 than it is to the 15. So I'm going to say 12 for that one. Okay, so now the question is, how many more like graphic novels than science fiction? So when you hear the term many more, how many more, you should be thinking along the lines of, okay, what's the difference between those two? What's the difference between those two? And to find difference in this situation, you take the higher number, you subtract the lower number. So you got 24 minus 12 equals 12 students. So your answer to number one is going to be 12 students. So this page is being assigned to you all in Google Classroom. And for this assignment, you're going to go to page number 11 in your binder. You're going to take out page number 11. You're going to work on the problems on that page from your binder. And once you're finished, you're going to take a picture of it. And we've already talked about these different steps. You're going to take a picture of it, and you're going to attach it to the assignment, to that homework assignment, and you're going to submit it to that particular assignment. Okay. Again, Just to reiterate what I just mentioned to you, these are some of your homework independent assignments that I want you to do. You're going to go to page 11. Once again, the reflection questions, you're going to work on that. It's assigned in Google Classroom. And you're also going to complete the graph in Google Jamboard. That's also assigned to you in Google Classroom.